Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. No thanks, baby. I don't want nothing to eat. I just don't feel like eating right now. Oh, this woman's floored. I know this looks funny. Well, I can't help it. I felt like I had to drop a line in the water for Archie. I was passing by our spot, and it feels like the car just pulled itself over. And I've always got my waders at my pole, so there you are. My best friend. My best friend. And he didn't have to go that way. Me and Archie, we were both 9 when he moved onto our street. You know how kids run to watch a moving van? Well, this great big old yellow Mayflower truck pulled up right across the street, and I went flying. Somebody was moving into the old Granberry's house, and I stood there staring with my mouth open, just staring outright, while Mama and I suspect all the other ladies on the street peeped from behind the curtains. Oh, please let them have kids, and please let them be boys. I had 3 sisters, and there really weren't many kids on our street at that time. My sisters was cool, but it sure would have been nice to have a boy my age to hang out with. A pink bike, and another pink bike, and no way! Yes way! A navy blue mongoose with a bright yellow banana seat. And then, oh miracle of miracles, a junior angler fishing rod and reel combo just like mine, in the hand of a boy who looked like he could wear my clothes, with an afro as big as the moon without that flat spot in the back. That was Archie, 9 years old, just like me, with the big old grin and not a shy bone in his body. He was my best friend for the rest of his life. His life. His life gone too soon. And for what? Plumb stubbornness. That's what. We were inseparable from that first week. It just felt so good to have a boy my age right on my own street. The neighbors called us Pete and Repeat, because when you saw one, you knew the other one wasn't far behind. And did we fish? Fishing helped us get through those tough adolescent years. We had this place we could walk to. It was a clean little freshwater stream full of crappies and brim, and we would just sit there and talk about everything. And after a while, it was pretty much just all about the ladies. He was my brother. We were in high school when we started at Sackers and Big Tex Foods. Before we could start, we had to have a physical. And that physical was the first warning bell for Archie. 15 years old with high cholesterol. I mean, he was okay to work, but the doctor told his mama she needed to do something about the family diet. Well, his daddy didn't want to hear anything about that. Big Archie Smith. Archie was a junior, loved his meat. Barbecues at their house meant platters piled high with every meat you could name. Mr. Smith would tell his wife, "Baby, fix me a plate of those ribs and put a couple of those burgers on the side and give me a couple of those sausage links for dessert. And don't put none of that rabbit food on my plate either." And fix these boys the same thing. Oh, and fix me another little tidy too, will you please? Big Archie was always known to enjoy a beverage or two, so there was always an array available. No tidy for the boys, of course. Give them a couple of those giant soda waters. Archie ate just like that his whole life. My mama wouldn't stand for it. If I ate at the Smiths, I had to eat a salad or some greens when I got home. There really wasn't much money for college, and Big Tex was one of the few places that paid well and really taught you how to advance. So we went from sackers to cashiers, then managers, then district managers. I'll be retired as a regional manager. I tell you, it was a decent living with good benefits, and best of all, a very deep discount on groceries. And Archie took full advantage of that discount in the meat department. And we got the same discount at the package store connected to Big Tex. So Archie stocked up on spirits. No discount on cigarettes though. But since when did smokers care? I know now that that all meat diet was one of the things that put him at risk for that colon cancer. And I'm sure a fairly steady intake of alcohol and cigarettes played a part. You can't tell me different because I read it in my research. Yeah, I researched it. My best friend had it, and I wanted to know everything. What I found out hit me like a bucket of cold water. Colon cancer is the second most common cancer among all people. And we African Americans, men and women, account for the highest number of new cases and the highest number of deaths every year. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't have to happen. Screening could cut out so much of that. Screening is a checkup you get when you don't have any symptoms. It's just something you're supposed to have sense enough to do. Screening can find the polyps that may turn cancerous and the other kind too. It can also catch that cancer in the early stages when it's easy to treat. When we both turned 45, the wives let us know they were in charge of the health situation for the families. You see, they want us black folk to start screening at age 45. Oh yeah, we married best friends, which meant neither of us could get away with anything. I know I couldn't. You see, we actually had health benefits through the job. And when Madam Flora told me I had an appointment right after my 45th birthday, it was, yes, ma'am. And I went on and did it. Happy wife, happy life. Now, the ladies were very good with their screening tests. They would get their mammograms on the same day and then go shopping. And when they became the age for colon screening, it usually starts at 50. They took each other for their colonoscopy exams and stayed in the waiting room for each other. They actually found a precancerous polyp during my wife Flora's colonoscopy and removed it on the spot. Now she just has to go every 5 years instead of every 10. And that's just fine. But see, that thing didn't need to be sitting there waiting to develop into cancer. And what found it? Screening. So my queen is just fine. And you know a king needs his queen. Now Archie's wife, Carmen, had nothing at all. So she goes back in 10 years. Better yet. I tried to get Archie to do the same with me, and that hard-headed brother had a fit. He did take me to my colonoscopy, but gave the nurse his phone number and waited in the parking lot. Rascal. Even being woozy, I was trying to talk him into making a colonoscopy appointment. Now, man, you know I'll go the last mile with you. I did the dentist and the chest x-ray, and I got the pneumonia shot. But I'm drawing the line when it comes to my butt, homie. I know it's gonna hurt. And I remember how miserable that laxative made you all. I ain't doing it. Archie had always been the bravest guy I knew, just not for this very important test. And if anybody needed to get that colonoscopy, it was Archie. Still cramming down the meat. Still quick to raise a glass, always accompanied by a smoke. And the only time I saw him touch an apple was when he'd come into one of my store's produce department and just bite one in front of a horrified produce manager just to mess with me. We all kept after him. And you know how the ladies have a very powerful method of persuading us. Finally, he agreed to at least take the fecal blood test, complaining all the way. Ew, it was nasty. I ain't never doing that again. Now, you know that's the one way they put a little something in a tube one time and the lab checks it out for blood. Well, that one and only test came out negative. And from then on, you couldn't tell him anything. The thing is, if you do that test, you need to do it once a year. But Archie had made it clear to me that the subject was closed. I wish I had tied him up and dragged him. I know Carmen and his kids wished I had too. My best friend. My best friend. I just miss him in so many ways. Archie could reach in your closet and come out with an old shirt and old jacket and have you looking like you just come from the tailor. And nobody could beat him dancing. He would teach me the new steps, and our wives would be the envy of all the wives in the neighborhood, 'cause their husbands danced. And it seemed like he could just make fish. There were days when nobody wasn't catching anything but us. All gone now. You know how you get a feeling sometimes that something is wrong and you can't put your finger on it? A couple of years after the fecal lab, my buddy seemed just a bit not right. His energy was low and his appetite was really down. And of course the answer to "What's wrong, Arch?" was always nothing. But I knew then it was something. Well, I kept after him until one day he burst out with, "Man, who am I married to, you or Carmen?" He was laughing, but I could see something in his eyes. That's when he told me he had been having bloating with abdominal pain and really bad constipation for about 2 years. I was fit to be tied. He asked me to go along with him to the doctor. Of course I did. The news was bad, really bad. Stage 4 colon cancer. Now that could have been caught and probably cured all right at stage 1. They treated our neighbor, Mr. Joe, stage 1 when he was 70. And he's 86 now and still flirting at the church. And the funny thing, Mr. Joe never was the one to smoke or drink. And he always ate healthy. He got that early diagnosis because he always kept up with his screenings. The doctors tried for remission with chemo, but finally wound up keeping him comfortable for a pretty tough 3 years until the end, which we knew was coming. Knucklehead. A colonoscopy. Just a colonoscopy. Nobody likes them, but they save lives. And we black folk really need to pay attention, 'cause it's killing more of us than anybody. Listen, excuse me, I'm going to just run to the back a minute. Oh, I almost forgot. Archie left us something. Relax, I already got the large ring. But read these pamphlets and take action on that colon exam. Because as much as we miss Archie, let's not plan on joining him anytime soon.